In the year 988, the people of Kyiv watched 12 men beat their own supreme god with metal rods. The wooden idol of Perun, thunder god of the Slavs, was tied to a horse's tail and dragged through the streets. Then it was thrown into the Dnieper river. On the banks, the chronicle says, the unbaptized people stood and wept. The order came from Prince Vladimir of Kyiv. The strange part is that Vladimir himself had built this idol. Only 8 years earlier, he had raised Perun on the hill beside his palace, with a silver head and golden moustache. Why would a prince publicly execute the god he had personally crowned? Hold that question. The answer is pure politics. Because this is the story of a whole mythology that was deliberately destroyed before anyone could write it down. The Greeks had Homer to preserve Zeus. The Norse had the Eddas to preserve Odin. The Slavs had no one. What survived are fragments, hostile chronicles, folk songs, village rituals, and names of gods scattered across half of Europe. And at the center of those fragments, scholars found something remarkable, a war between two gods that never stopped. Imagine a single enormous oak tree. Its branches hold the sky, its trunk passes through our world, its roots reach the dead. That was the Slavic universe. 3 realms, 1 tree, heaven above, the living earth in the middle, the underworld below. At the very top of that tree sat Perun, lord of thunder, fire, and war. The god princes swore their oaths by. His weapon was the axe. His tree was the oak. Every lightning strike was his spear thrown down at an enemy. Because down among the roots, coiled in the wet dark, lived his opposite, Veles, god of cattle, wealth, magic, and the dead. Everything Perun was, Veles was not. Perun was high, dry, fiery, and orderly. Veles was low, wet, serpentine, cunning. But Veles was not evil. He guarded the herds that fed people, the wealth of merchants, the songs of poets. Farmers prayed to Perun for rain. Shepherds and traders prayed to Veles. Warriors swore treaties by both of them. In a peace treaty from the year 944, Rus warriors swore by Perun and Veles together, side by side. 2 gods, 1 tree, total opposition. A universe like that cannot stay quiet. And according to the myth, it never did. It begins with a theft. Veles rises from the roots, takes the shape of a giant serpent, and starts to climb. He steals what belongs to the sky. In some versions cattle, in others the rain itself, in some Perun's own wife. As the serpent coils upward through the world tree, the human world below begins to dry out. Drought is Veles climbing. Perun answers with lightning. He hurls bolts that split oak trees and shatter stones, hunting the serpent down the tree. Veles flees and hides, transforming into animals, into trees, into people. Wherever lightning struck, the Slavs said the serpent was hiding. Finally, Perun corners him and strikes him down. And in the moment of the serpent's death, everything stolen is released. The waters fall back to earth as rain. To ancient Slavs, every thunderstorm was this battle replaying above their heads. But Veles never truly dies. He returns to the roots, waits, grows restless, and climbs again. The war is the season. Thor fights the serpent Jormungandr. Indra fights the dragon Vritra. Zeus battles Scholars call this pattern the storm myth, one of humanity's oldest stories. So why have you never heard the Slavic version? The answer starts with that prince in Kyiv, Vladimir, and the god he built and then drowned. Here is what happened. In 980, Vladimir seized power and raised 6 idols on the hill by his palace, with Perun standing first. It was a state religion built for a young warlord, a pantheon to unite the tribes he ruled under one sky. But 8 years later, Vladimir needed something bigger than gods. He needed an alliance with the Byzantine Empire, the superpower next door. The price of marrying Anna, the emperor's sister, was baptism. Vladimir converted, and his entire capital converted with him by decree. Kyiv's residents were summoned to the Dnieper for mass baptism. Refusing meant being counted as an enemy of the prince. That is why Perun died in the river. Not because people stopped believing, but because belief had become a treaty term. And with the idols went the stories. Priests did not record the old myths. They wrote sermons against them. Every written source we have on Slavic religion is hostile. Byzantine chroniclers, German missionaries, and churchmen scolding stubborn pagans. We know the names of the gods, but not their prayers. We know Perun and Veles fought, but the full epic is gone. Except the gods did not disappear. They did what Veles does best. They transformed, and they hid inside the new religion. Perun became the prophet Elijah, who rides a flaming chariot across the sky and throws thunderbolts down at demons. Veles, protector of herds, slipped into Saint Blas, the Christian patron of cattle. The names changed, the functions did not. Mokosh, the great goddess of moist earth and women's fate, transferred her worship to Saint Paraskeva, patron of spinning. In Novgorod, records say a statue of Perun was still being ceremonially flogged each year, deep into the Christian era. Peasants threw gold coins into the Dnieper at the spot where the idol had passed, honoring a god officially dead. Mountains, villages, and cliffs across the Balkans still carry Perun's name today, a map of worship written into geography. The seasons kept turning, and folk calendars kept the old engine running, spring rites, harvest songs, Thunder Day for Elijah. 1,000 years of Christianity regulated the old faith, but never fully replaced it. It only renamed it. So the storm myth survived, smuggled through centuries inside saints and songs. But now comes the uncomfortable twist in this story. Remember, no Slav ever wrote this myth down. The duel of Perun and Veles was reconstructed by 2 20th century scholars. Vyacheslav Ivanov and Vladimir Toporov pieced it together from Belarusian folktales, Lithuanian songs, ritual. In their sources, the fighters are often not gods at all, but God and the devil, or thunder chasing a demon. The scholars argued those were Christianized masks over an older pagan duel. It was brilliant detective work. It was also fragile. Later, researchers attacked the reconstruction, and eventually Toporov himself, one of its 2 authors, stepped back from the theory. Today, many scholars doubt Veles was ever a serpent at all. The purest storm myth may be partly a modern creation. So, what do we actually have? A religion destroyed before it could speak, and a reconstruction built from its echo. Maybe that is the real story, not the myth itself, but how completely a world can be erased, and how stubbornly it leaks back. Every thunderstorm over the Carpathians still carries the question. Somewhere between Elijah's chariot and Perun's axe, the old war rumbles on. The Slavs had hundreds of other beings the church never managed to drown. Next time, the grandmother with a house on chicken leg.